Spring practice is finally here. Let's recap day one. What's going on, Canes fans? We finally have some football to talk about again now that spring practice has arrived. Day one is a wrap, and I'm here to give you a recap of everything that went down. But before we dive in, two quick things. Number one, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so you can stay up to date with all of the spring football updates. Number two, if you want to hype yourself up for this season based off of some spring practice talk down in the comments, feel free to do that. Do not let the fan police ruin your day. But on the opposite side of that, if you want to be super critical and take the wait and see approach, of course you're more than welcome to do that as well. There's not a right or wrong way to approach this, but at the end of the day, we're going to cover everything here on this channel, both good and bad, and talk openly about all of it because it is football. It's Miami Hurricanes football, and of course, even though it's just spring, I'm very excited to talk about it. Everyone's going to have different opinions, and that's always welcome on this channel. So let's dive right in and talk about the quarterbacks. Cam Ward pretty much looked the part today. He made the big time throws and the accuracy was there. And you're probably going to see a lot of him in these clips that I'm about to show. Just keep in mind that I give credit to whoever owns each of these clips in the bottom left-hand corner, so be sure to show them some love and follow them over on X. He performed pretty well during the net drills, and he seems to have a special connection with Xavier Restrepo and Jacoby George. Now, last week we spent a lot of time discussing Emory Williams, and we were wondering if he would be ready to go for spring. Well, I'm very happy to report that he seems 100%. I'm talking Emory Williams looks better than ever. It's almost as if he never even had surgery just 4 or 5 months ago. He was going through all of the drills and he appears to have no limitations. Now, Ja'Carri Brown was also out there practicing with the quarterbacks, and I bring this up because there's such a large focus right now on Cam Ward, and obviously so because he's the newcomer. He was the number one transfer portal guy that everyone wanted. So all of the clips are pretty much of Cam Ward. And, you didn't see a whole lot of Ja'Carri Brown. So it made a lot of people question if Ja'Carri Brown was actually participating in spring practice today. And he absolutely was. There's not a whole lot to report about him from day one, but he was there. And I can say, though, that Poffenbarger had a pretty good day. He showed that he throws a great deep ball. And we know that, before he even came here, that dude is a baller. So he is going to be pushing for that number 2 spot behind Cam Ward. Now, one thing also that I want to bring up is I want you to take a look at this picture right here. Just sit here, pause it if you need to, or I'll ramble on for a moment, and just look at the quarterbacks for a second. And I want you to tell me what you noticed. Because the very first thing that I noticed was the sheer size of freshman quarterback Judd Anderson. I mean, just look at the dude. He's 6'7". He looks like the Jolly Green Giant out there, and I mean that as a compliment. But overall, Cam Ward looked about as good as you could expect Cam Ward to look on day one of spring practice with no pads. Now, I will say that at one point, he did make Ruben Bain look a little silly. He made him regret a decision that he made where he took the inside, and Cam Ward made a little something happen, and Ruben Bain complimented him on that. And, that is a good thing because we all know that Ruben Bain is a good football player. That's not something that we're worried about. So if Cam Ward can make him miss or make him regret a move, then that's a good sign. And I do remember that Jalen Rivers said that Cam Ward had invited all of the offensive skill players over to his house to watch the Super Bowl. And we talked about how bonding and building those relationships and the chemistry is a good thing. And then he also is planning on taking out the entire offensive line to dinner. He's going to take them out to eat. And he made a little joke about how that's going to be a very expensive bill because, them trenches, them big boys up front, they're going to like to eat. Now, in the wide receiver room, Restrepo, George, and Horton took most of the first team reps, and all three impressed, especially, as I'm sure you're not going to be very surprised, Restrepo, because he had a couple of crazy catches today. Now, also in that receiver room, Ray got some reps as well, and he looks as fast as ever. And the younger guys, Nikar and JoJo, are doing their thing, but they're going to have to fight to earn some playing time. We know that Cam Ward spoke highly of JoJo, but those guys are young. It's going to be very fun, however, to watch their progress throughout spring. Now, also as far as the tight ends go, Riley Williams had a sick one-handed catch during some one-on-one drills. And so far, I'm happy to report that it looks like Elijah Arroyo is 100%. I've been saying that we're waiting on the Arroyo show to happen, and hopefully it's going to be this season. After practice, he said that he finally feels like Elijah Arroyo again. So that's a very good sign. He's not limited in any way, practicing 100%. Not a whole lot to report on the running backs today, but I would like to say that Citizen was out there and he did get some carries. And he's going to have a big opportunity this spring because here in a moment, we're going to talk about the fact that there are a couple of running backs that aren't participating in spring practice this season. Now, there were a lot of good things said about Bell and Carpenter on the O-line, and Carpenter is drawing a lot of comparisons to Matt Lee, which is obviously a very good thing. Those are some big shoes to fill, but that is a center that we had that, was very successful. I actually don't have a whole lot to report on when it comes to the defensive side of the ball today because you guys know how Mario Cristobal operates. They don't let the media view a whole lot of stuff at practice. But there will be some more stuff on defense that we'll talk about probably later tonight or maybe tomorrow. But I will say that Zaquan Patterson did have a pass breakup when working against the tight ends. And many believe that Patterson will possibly earn some playing time this season. I say, let's wait and see because it's very tough for an incoming freshman to earn serious playing time, no matter how talented they are, however many stars they come in with. It tends to be the guys that have more experience, that have had more time to adjust to the college level, have spent time in the strength and conditioning program. But, hey, time will tell because Zaquan Patterson is definitely a baller. Now, when watching clips from spring practice, you're going to notice some big-time names missing. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of guys that are missing spring, but the good news is there are several of them that are going to slowly be brought back in. They're just going to miss these first few practices. And some of those names are guys like Akeem Mesidor, Cole McConaughey, Damari Brown, Brian Ballum, and Joshua Horton. All of those guys are out right now, but they should be back in at some point, even if it's on the tail end of things. Now, we did talk last week about the guys that are missing the entirety of spring. Just keep in mind that these lists are fluid, so they could change. But right now, it's Isaiah Thomas, Nigel Kelly, Blunt, Fletcher, Allen. Unfortunately, Nelson is on the list for right now. Frankie and the Mawanoa brothers. Now, as I said, don't look too much into that because it could change, but the likelihood of any of those guys participating in spring is pretty slim. And if you notice, there are two running backs on that list, and that's why I said guys like Citizen and some of those other backs will have an opportunity to get some valuable snaps during spring practice. It was also pretty cool to see Samson Okunlola taking a lot of reps with the first group in pass rushing drills today, and it was at the left guard position. But as I said, as far as defense goes, not a whole lot to talk about in this first recap video, but if any more information flows through, any more clips, any of that good stuff, I'll just make another video and we'll do an extended version of the day one recap. But we did get to talk about it a little bit. I would like to close with some thoughts from Mario Cristobal, some things that he had to say once day one of spring practice wrapped up. And he really pushed that the focus is on technique and fundamentals during spring, which is to be expected every spring. That's going to apply to pretty much every football team across the country. But he did specifically mention working on improving discipline by having officials there each day. And that was something that Miami did struggle with at times last season. We had a lot of selfish, silly penalties that really hurt the team. So he's pushing that during spring, trying to go ahead and establish that early. Now, some areas that he would like to spend some extra time on are special teams and limiting explosive plays. And on the flip side of that, also creating more explosive plays on offense. You saw a lot of deep balls in practice today, trying to work on timing and things with the receivers and the tight ends. But as always, don't overreact too much. I saw a lot of people on Twitter and on X, saying, hey, Cam Ward looks like he needs to work on his deep ball, not hitting wide receivers in stride. It's day one of spring practice. And again, it's okay to be critical. These things do have to improve and get better, but there's going to be, you got to remember there's situational drills. There are certain times where they're working on very specific things. So just don't look too much into it, at least this early. Again, they're not even in full pads. Now, he did mention, this is something that was a big surprise out of left field, that former running back Duke Johnson will be a student assistant because he's currently in school. So that's pretty big and exciting. He can, mentor and speak with those running backs in that room. And a lot of Canes fans were big fans of Duke Johnson because it's been a while since we've had a running back that is explosive as he was. But that's really it for the day one recap. A big focus on the quarterbacks and the receivers and the tight ends. But, that's the exciting part. That's what everybody wants to talk about right now, day one. Everybody's going to be talking about Cam Ward and how he looked. But I'm going to be real. I still can't get over how big Judd Anderson looked out there. And I'm telling you, Poffenbarger, that dude is hungry. He's coming into spring to put in some serious work, and he's trying to come for somebody's job. Let me know some comments down below. Come on, some thoughts. Let's talk about spring. If you've got any questions, anything else that that you really want to push and talk about, position group that you're most excited to hear about and discuss. But there are going to be a ton of videos and live streams covering all of this. Day one is always a little different than the rest of them because it's the opening day. We're trying to get everything established. There's not a ton of viewing, so there'll be plenty more content to come. Remember though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family, but at the end of the day, I gotta say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all on the next one.